David Petro from David Petro Casting, and I am the Executive Director and founder of the premier workshop company, Broadway Breakthrough. So today in this session, we are going to talk about headshots and resumes. Your headshot and resume is one of the most important tools you can have as an actor, because before I even bring you in for an audition, the first thing that I'm going to ask for and see and decide whether you're coming into that audition room or not is your headshot and resume. So this is big. And the more professional they look and the more exciting they are and the more professionally formatted they are, the better chances you're going to have of getting called into any audition. So it's important to be able to bring who you are, your experience, your life, your look, your talent to life, basically on a piece of paper. So let's talk about headshots first. There's a lot of really key factors to headshots, and I get asked all the time by actors if I will look at their headshots and give them feedback about it. So let's talk about the basics of a headshot. First, a headshot needs to be 8 by 10. So it's not a normal sheet of paper, it is 8.5 by 11, so the headshot should be 8 by 10, so it's just a little bit shy of 8.5 by 11, cut down a bit. So that's number one. Number two, the headshot should be in color. Back in the day, 100 years ago, headshots were in black and white, and that doesn't work anymore. Everything needs to be in color. If you were to send in a black and white photo, and now I have a color photo, obviously that's going to be really different, and the one in color is going to bring ourselves right to life. And with Instagram and Facebook and everything else that we have for social media for photos, photos are such a huge part of what we have today. So first, 8.5 by 11. Next, they need to be in color. The headshot needs to look like you on your best day. And I'll say that again. It needs to look like you on your best day. A lot of times when I'm casting a project in Los Angeles, it's crazy because I'll get this headshot and the people, have the wind-blown hair and, they look like glamour shop models and it looks like they're about ready to walk down the runway, and then they walk in the room and it's like, you do not look like anything like this picture, and I'm looking for you. I'm not looking for an airbrushed, fan-blowing hair, weave looking thing. I need you because I'm casting a show with particular real characters. So you need to look like you going to a nice dinner, not you going to the prom. You going to church, you going to a nice family function. And it needs to be a look that you can duplicate all over again. Meaning, if you have to come in for an audition in an hour, that you're going to be able to look like you look in that headshot that I called you in off of. So, color photo, 8.5 by 11, and it needs to look like you on a good day. Think about picture day for school if you dress up for that, or picture day for a family photo. That's what you want to look like. The next thing is that the photo needs to be you, and not a bunch of other things in the background. I see a lot of photos sometimes that are like by a tree or by the ocean, all these like great, and the landscape is beautiful, but the landscape isn't getting a job. You're getting a job, hopefully. So you want that photo, the focus of that photo, to be you. There's a big New York photographer who does great work, but in every one of the photos, it's on a cobble street in New York in the West Village, which is a lovely shot, but there I am thinking, where are they going to go to lunch today after that cobble street? As opposed to thinking about, I can really see who that person is and their personality. So you really need to focus on you. Headshots can be cut in two ways. In the frame of the photo, it can either be a literal headshot, which means shoulders and up, which is a really close-up on you, or if you're a dancer, you can have a 3/4 shot, and that means from the waist up. For dancers, it's great to have both, so that we can see what your body looks like, what your frame is. Are you, really, really ballerina type? Are you more jazz dancer type? Do you have a really, really wave-like body type, or do you have more of a fuller figure? So it's great to have both a 3/4 shot, waist all the way to the head, and then a shoulder to the head shot. You don't need a lot of things like a smiling shot and a sad shot, and I can wear glasses, and I can wear a mustache, I get these all the time where they're what we call in the business of comp cards, which is really different, which would be for the modeling world, and the modeling comp shots are something very different, which we'll talk about at the end. But for your theater, your television, your film, your commercial work, you just want a straight shot of you, looking like you, 3/4 head and color, 8.5 by 11. Something else that's really important in these headshots that people miss sometimes is that there's life in your eyes, that there's personality in your eyes. And what I mean by that is a lot of times, you know, when somebody's taking a photo of you and you're not paying attention that the photo's happening, or you're looking somewhere else and you look at that photo and you're like, what was I doing in that moment? You know, we've all seen those photos. You need to have the exact opposite of that. I have a thought in my head, I'm very focused, I'm really directed, and right away, just by saying this, I can change it that I have life in my eyes. Like, I am trying to get this point across to you that about your headshot, and that is when I can read personality through your picture. And that's what I want, because I want to look at a picture of somebody and be like, I want to get to know them. I want to know who that person is. That person looks exciting, they look fun, they look interesting, and it sounds like a lot, but you see shows like, who's ever seen America's Next Top Model? We've seen this show, Tyra Banks. Yes, we're like, oh. It was me. I mean, I won 4 years straight, but Tyra's always like, you need to smile in your eyes, you need to talk to me in your eyes. That's what I'm talking about, where there's an actual thought, there's a direction, there's a focus in your eyes that comes through your photo. So when looking at our headshots, we need to have all those pieces together. Looking, like I said, you on your best day, 8.5 by 11, that there's not a lot of background and landscape in your photo, and that, let's talk about your clothing. So in your clothing, it needs to be, again, not distracting from your photo. So you want to have, for the ladies, very simple jewelry, especially in the earrings, so that we're not staring at that. If you, you want really basic prints, so if you do have a print, preferably to not have a solid, bold color, that's going to bring it out. And test it when you're taking your photo. Make sure that before you shoot, you know, 25 photos, that you just shoot that one and making sure that your outfit looks good and your hair looks good and clean. As we said, you on your best day, you want to wear your hair away from your face, but still somehow that you would normally wear your hair and can duplicate it. So, you know, it's not a big production and it needs to be away from your face, but it needs to look really, really good. And then makeup as well. It's that very clean, very simple, no makeup that's going to distract from your headshot or pull away from it at all. So once you have your headshot all together in all the ways that we talked about, the color, 8 by 10, personality in the eyes, not a lot of things in the background, that it's really just about you, you looking on your good day, you want to have your name on your photo. There's a lot of companies out there, even a lot of the big stores out there right now will put your name on your photo. It's so important. If your resume ever gets separated from your headshot, we need to know who you are. And a lot of times, I'll be honest, after an 8-hour day of auditions or a week of 8-hour auditions, so that's like 40 hours of auditions, it's hard to remember exactly everybody's face and look and name. And so I really need to have that name on that photo so that I can get to it right away. And then it's your choice based on the look of the photo if you want to put a border around your photo or not. My preference is a border around it, but always a black border. You know how you can change the different colors of borders. That would then start to get distracting of your photo, and you again just want it to be you in the focus of that photo. So a nice black border often brings out your photo a lot. But remember, when you're putting your name on your photo and adding a border, that's part of your 8 by 10, excuse me. So you can't then get bigger because you're not putting a border and a name on it. Okay? So we're going to move into the section on this session about resumes. Now, your resumes are your biggest calling card in the business. We've all had business cards where we hand them out and it has your phone number and your email address. This is a bigger opportunity than that because you get to list all of your experience. And so I'm going to go through how you format your resume for a performance resume, which is very different than a professional resume. The differences in a professional resume and a performing resume are that in the professional resume, it can be pages and pages of information, and you list your dates, and you list your mission and your goals, and all of that is on your professional resume and can go on as many pages as you wanted to go on. But in a professional resume, it is, once again, only one page and 8 by 10 because it's going to go on the back of your headshot. So you only get a very small amount of space, 8 by 10, not even a full sheet of paper, to do your professional performing resume. At the top, most important thing, as always, because we are actors and we love the sound of it, is our name. Our name should be at the top, and it should be the biggest thing on your resume. Whatever name you use for stage, a lot of times people have stage names or different names. You need to have the name that you use for stage and the name that or for film and for credits. And it needs to be very clearly at the top of your page. Moving down from there, if you are moving down from there is your email address. It is so important to have your email address on your resume. If so many times we're holding auditions and the auditions end at 5 o'clock, but I want to call you back tomorrow at 9 o'clock, and if you have an agent and manager, there's no way for me to get that information to your agent and manager, and so then I can email the information to you. We all know we communicate much more by email now than we would by phone. So it's so important to have your email address. If you are under 18 years of age, I'll be talking about two parts of this, over 18 and under 18. For under 18, it should be your parents' email address. It should not be your email address. After your email address needs to be your best contact phone number. If you are waiting at home by the telephone with that old school answering machine and that's the best way for you to get contacted, which is very rare these days, then your home phone number should be it. But if you are more on your mobile phone or your cell phone, it should be your cell phone. And again, if you're under 18, it should be your parents' mobile phone. If you are over 18, it should be your personal cell phone. If you are under 18, you also need your birth date on there. The reason we put your birth date on there is because there are a lot of performing union laws, legal laws for children in the work labor laws that we need to know your exact age because it varies when we can call you in for auditions, when we can call you in for jobs. So again, under 18 only, your birthday. If you are if you are 18 and over, do not put your birthday on it. We do not need to know. We need to now go into your physical characteristics. First, we want to know your height. So your height needs to be on your resume. Again, if you are under 18 only, then you will also put your weight on there. If you are over 18, you do not have to put your weight on the resume. 18 and over, do not have to put your weight. If you are under 18, you have to put on your weight. And let me explain why. It's not because, even though the entertainment industry is a very visual media, and obviously we're going to be looking directly at you and your physical type makes up a lot, but there are a lot of times that, especially in television, when we are shooting something and we have to cast you in one day and in 2 days you have to be on set. So that wardrobe and costuming has to know exactly your weight at the time of the audition, because unfortunately sometimes we might not be able to call you in if you don't fit the look, or we already have somebody cast as your twin brother and we need you to match up the exact size to play the twin sister. So your weight really plays a big part, not just in getting the job, but sometimes if we can even call you in for the audition. So we have our name being the biggest part. We have our email address. If we're under 18, our parents' email address. We have our cell phone number, or whatever phone number is best to contact you. And again, if you're under 18, it should be your parents. We have your height. If you're under 18, your weight, and then we need your eye color and your hair color. Just like we talked about previously, if we've cast somebody, you're going to play your brother, your sister, we have a particular role in mind, a particular look in line, we need to know your hair color and your eye color. So then we get into your resume. You want to put your biggest, most important credits up front. And what I mean by that is if you've never done television or film, but you've been on Broadway, then those Broadway credits should be right at the top. If you've been in a big Steven Spielberg feature film, chances are you know how to do your resume, but still, you want to put that up onto the top so that you have everything. If you have not done television or film, just don't include it on your resume. It's not a big deal. What is a big deal is if you basically lie or fabricate or make up information on your resume, because it's very easy to check. And when people start doing that, they think that it's going to put that at the top of the pile, but it actually takes you completely off the pile when we check references or check into jobs that you've done before. And if we don't see you on your cast list, it's really going to be more detrimental to your career than helpful. So we're going to start getting to listing your experience at this point. So everything goes in a 3-column format. And what I mean by a 3-column format is that you have something on the right, You have something in the center, you have something in the left. And your something on the right is always the name of the show or project. So let's take let's take television. Let's do television. That's going to be, and we're going to pick a name of a show. So who wants to suggest a name of a show? Any television show.
TV show?
Yeah, give me a TV show.
Glee.
Glee. Let's do Glee. Glee's a great idea. So at the top, we're going to have television right there. And then under television, we're going to have the name of the project, which is Glee. So then for there, let's have a character. Give me a character.
Blaine.
Blaine. So we're going to have Glee. You are Blaine. And then in the far other corner, you are going, in the left side, you are going to have the network or the theater. Well, we're doing television, so the network, which is Fox. So my right column, it has Glee. My middle column is Blaine. And then in my far left corner, we're going to have Fox Network. So we just did television, and then we're going to go into theater. So the same thing with theater. With all of your experience, you're going to do the 3-column format. So you have your project on the right, you have your character in the middle, and then you have your network, your television studio, or if it's theater, the name of the theater in the far right side. So let's then go. We just did television, now we're going to list theater right underneath of it. So give me the name of a show.
Cats.
Cats! Oh, dun, dun, dun. Yes, I did Cats for several years, ladies and gentlemen, on Broadway, and I will put on my cat costume right when we're finished. No, I won't. The theater. So what's the name of the show?
Cats.
In the right corner, we're going to put Cats in the right corner. In the middle, we're going to put a character name. So I played Mungo Jerry a lot, so Mungo Jerry would be in the center. And then the name of the theater would be in the right. When we did it on Broadway, it would be the Winter Garden Theater. We could also list, because it was a tour, we list the Broadway National Tour, and it'd be listed right on there. So that's how you would list every single project. So at the top, if you have film credits, that goes number 1. If you have television credits, that goes underneath. If you have theater credits, then that goes underneath that. Then coming after there are going to be any commercials that you do. Commercials are the first time that you can change from the 3-column format into a little bit more of a list. You don't have to. You can also keep it in that 3-column format. So let's take a commercial. Let's use The Gap, because they do not only a lot of commercials, but they also do really big productions of commercials. So you would put in that far right corner, you would put Gap. In the center, you would put the name of the commercial. They've done all sorts of different, they did a West Side Story theme at one point, so you would put the name of that commercial, and I believe it was just West Side Story there. And then in the far left corner, you would put the production or media company, and it would be Gap Media. So keeping in that 3-column format. Next under there can be what we call industrials. And industrials are live performances of basically a commercial. So a company would hire you, like say Target would hire you. Disney does a lot of these, McDonald's does a lot of these, and you would put on a live show promoting their product or their company. And these can be really big shows that they spend, millions and millions of dollars to do these and put on these big productions. So an industrial is just like a live commercial. So you do the same thing. You would put McDonald's in the far right corner. In the center, you would put, the far left corner, excuse me. In the center, you'd be putting your character or role that you played. Maybe you played, the Hamburglar, which is always a treat. Or you play whichever character in the center. And then the far left, you would put the production company or the director. Now, your education, especially for performers who are under the age of 18 and under, the chances are education is going to be the biggest part of your resume, because there aren't a lot of professional experiences for people your age. So your training is going to be very important to list in every bit of training that would pertain to a job. So you can now start your sentence form. So in your sentence form, you can have acting, And then the type of acting, maybe it's Shakespeare, maybe it's improv, maybe it's comedy. You would list the type of acting and then your teachers. Then for voice, you would do the same. You would do classical voice, your teachers. You can also list the amount of years that you've done this. Dance is a big one because you would have jazz, you would have tap, you would have ballet, you would have modern, you would have contemporary. You can list all of those different styles and how many years that you've done it. You can also list, and it's very important to list, if you play any instruments. That's a big one because there's a lot of times, a lot of projects these days that if you can play an instrument, then you're going to be at the top of the list, or the project requires you to play an instrument. So you would list that instrument that you're playing, violin, and how many years you've played it. Here's the secret to resumes though. Just like I talked about, if you don't have a credit, don't put it on there. If you've never been in a feature film, do not list that on your resume. Anything you list under your training, you need to be able to do it that day. So if I pick up your resume and it says on there that you've played the clarinet for 13 years, but that was back in elementary school and you are now 42 years old, then you better be able to play that clarinet like you've played it for 15 years. So unless you can do it at the moment that you walk into that audition room, it should not be on your resume. You can say things like, you know, play the clarinet back in elementary school and I'll know you have like a basic knowledge, but you can't just list, I played the clarinet for 15 years because I'm going to expect you to do everything that's on that resume. So if you can't get into the room and perform it as if you would with that experience listed on there, then do not include it on your resume. The more training you have, the better. And especially when I'm calling in younger performers, I want to know that you've trained with and worked with great people because that's what you have access to. The last part of your resume is special skills. Now this part is really interesting and it doesn't happen on professional resumes, and I think it's pretty silly to have it on your performing resume, but there is a really great purpose for it. Unfortunately, it's used incorrectly. In your special skills, people will list things like, I can whistle, and I can hop on one foot, or, you know, I can eat a whole potato. Eating a whole potato generally will not just get you a job, you know, it's actually kind of weird. But if you can list things on your special skills, such as I speak French and Italian and Chinese, that's huge. I might be shooting a film that shoots 6 months in China, and that if you can speak Chinese, that's a huge, important special skill. I was casting a film that was all based about hockey players, and it was really important for me to find great actors who I knew could play hockey and skate well. So if you can do something exceptional, not just, you know, I skated 4 years ago in Central Park, no, but if you can, you know, really ice skate and do great tricks, if you can horseback ride and jump, if you can, you know, like I said, speak languages, if you play a sport exceptionally well, anything that you excel in above an average skill that could be something we would use for a job, great. So once we have this all down, we have our name at the top, we have our email, we have our perfect contact number, we have our hair, our eye, our weight, our height. We're listing the experience that we actually have in a 3-column format broken up by theater, television, film, industrial, commercial, education, and then our special skills. We then need to make sure that it's formatted and cut down to 8 by 10 because now that's going to go to the back of your headshot. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that headshot facing up and that resume facing up and you're going to staple them together. 4 staples. The reason we do 4 staples is so that we'll never get separated, because if that resume gets separated from a headshot, then it's going to be very hard to keep the two together. So you're going to do 4 corners that you're going to staple that headshot to the resume, and that's going to be your calling card. That's not only going to get you an audition, it's going to get you all of your experience for us when you're in that audition so that we'll know about you. It's so important for the information to be delivered this professional way, clean and simply, so that when we're in an audition room, that I can really pay attention to you in the audition room than trying to find the information that I need necessary on your resume because there's way too much information. So that I can really take a second, I can read your resume, the way that I need to read it, and then pick my head up and really enjoy your audition performance. The last thing about the headshot and resume is that you make sure that you bring at least 3 to 5 copies with you at all times. In New York City, when we have big audition spaces, that there's tons of auditions that go on all the time. So very often, I will go into an audition and I'll come out and I'll see a bunch of actors who I really like and want to call them into my audition. But without a headshot and resume, I can't call you in. So it's so important for you to have 3 to 5 with you at all times, because you never know, you might be walking down the street and you run into some great casting director or talent agent or celebrity, who knows, we're in big cities, and if you have that headshot and resume on you, you'll be able to deliver it and then be able to go into an audition at any time. Great? Any questions about headshots and resumes? No? Great, well thank you so much.